central Argentine province of Córdoba. Every house ruined, all of its residents evacuated.
Now, scientists say the warming and cooling cycles of Pacific Ocean waters called El Niño and La Niña can affect severe weather in the U.S. Running down the street for 26 miles is tough enough, but try running a marathon in record heat and tough turns into dangerous. Even seasoned runners had to hit the brakes during Sunday's Los Angeles Marathon. According to the Los Angeles Times, temperatures near the finish line hit 90 degrees by noon. At least 36 were hospitalized, most with heat-related injuries, and another 200 runners were treated along the marathon route. At crowded Southern California beaches, it looked more like a June weekend instead of March. Temperatures remained well above average Monday, but the Southland will see highs fall back into the upper 70s to about 80 degrees for the remainder of the week.
This morning, we may have new evidence that Syria is carrying out poison gas attacks. A group monitoring the civil war posted videos showing victims who appear to be suffocating. CBS News cannot confirm the use of chemical weapons. Syria has denied it in the past. President Obama has said their use would cross a red line. Clarissa Ward is in Antakya, Turkey, with details of the attack. Clarissa, good morning.
Good morning. According to activists inside Syria, that attack took place in the village of Sarmin in Idlib province, which is just on the other side of the Turkish-Syrian border here. Videos posted online by medics appear to show the aftermath of a chlorine gas attack. You see young children who are struggling to breathe, and activists inside Syria say that at least 6 people were killed in that attack, including a man, his wife, and their 3 children. This is not the first time. We have heard of multiple reports in the past year of the Assad regime using chlorine gas in these so-called barrel bombs. Those are crudely made bombs stuffed with explosives and shrapnel or chlorine and simply dropped onto civilian areas. Jeff?
Larissa, thanks very much once again along the Turkey-Syria border.
Let's stay in Iraq, where Kurdish forces are investigating 2 other possible chemical weapons attacks by the Islamic State group. They have accused the insurgents of using chlorine and in December attack in a military police brigade in the Sinjar mountain area and twice during a January offensive west of Mosul.
The gas was composed of chlorine and a sort of bleach used for using in toilets and fertilizers which are used on wheat and barley, as well as some sugar. The effect won't kill you, but it will paralyze you so that you cannot stand. Not to kill, from what I've heard.
Kurdish officials have offered footage of the aftermath of the 26th of December attack, which shows fighters coughing and pouring water over their heads after another suicide truck bombing that wounded some 60 men. On Saturday, the Kurdistan Region Security Council also offered video and lab results it said proved the Islamic State group used chlorine in the January 23rd suicide truck bomb. The Dutch-based Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons says it hasn't received any requests from Iraq to investigate claims of chemical weapons use. The group says it could not immediately verify the claims.
Now we want to check in with our own Jeanette Reyes, who's out in Berwyn Heights from our water main break yesterday. Jeanette.
Well, Jack, it sounds like things are a little busier out there than they are here. It's quieted down quite a bit. Water has now been restored to residents here in Berwyn Heights. But take a look here at what's left. All of this mud covering most of the roads. Follow me here for a second. I'm going to show you what we can see on the road now that crews are not here. The massive hole that you saw last time is covered in gravel, and that's just in the meantime because they need to come back and repair the road. It buckled in a couple of places, so there's still a lot of work to do. But just some background here. The water main break happened late afternoon yesterday. About 29 homes were affected. They were without water because of this. It was a 10-inch water main, about 75 years old, and it took WSSC about an hour because of rush hour traffic. So you can imagine during that time, hundreds of gallons of water just gushing out onto the roadways, onto homes and front yards. In fact, one gentleman told us that his basement had about 8 inches of water. But understandably, the main concern, the main priority was getting this water main patched up, stopping that water. And so overnight, these residents were without water. But let me show you just how big that crack was. We can see a little bit of those pipes right now. If you can see the one that's right in the middle, that jagged edge right there is part of that break. And so they've taken that out and replaced it with a new segment. But homeowners have quite the work to do. I'm going to hop over here real quick and show you this front yard. All of this is just really just soft and moist because of all the water it's had to soak up. That's the front yard here. So homeowners also have a lot of work to do. But again, the good news is they do have running water, but they have quite the work ahead of them, as do some of these road crews as well. Reporting live, Jeanette Reyes, ABC 7 News.
some alarming news tonight for the drought-stricken West Coast. A dire warning from a NASA scientist who says that under the current bone-dry conditions, California's water supply may be all tapped out by this time next year. NBC's Jacob Rascone has the story.
California's water supply is disappearing faster than we thought. The disappointing wet season colliding with a fourth year of extreme drought. NASA scientist Jay Famlietti.
If we don't take measures to conserve our surface water in our reservoirs, we have about a year's worth of water left, so it will be gone.
In Central California, water from the federal government has literally run out for hundreds of farmers like Bharat Basadri, who used to pay $50 for an acre-foot of water.
We're paying close to about $975 an acre foot.
And the future looks just as thirsty. Snowpack levels, which typically make up a third of the state's water, are at all-time lows. Even the governors of Washington and Oregon are now dealing with drought emergencies.
We haven't seen that much rain or snow at all for this entire season, and now we're seeing record-setting temperatures.
Heat waves like we haven't seen in more than a century. 90 degrees and parched in the winter would be a disastrous new normal. Jacob Rascone, NBC News, Los Angeles.
This is the town of Idiazabal in the central Argentine province of Córdoba. Every house ruined, all of its residents evacuated. Staying for now in the community centre of the neighbouring town of Ordóñez. There were similar scenes across the north of Argentina earlier this month, as more rain fell in a few hours than normally falls in weeks.
When the water goes down, I don't know what we'll do. We're going to have to borrow, but I don't know if they'll give us loans.
One of the crops Ariel lost was his soya harvest, the crop that now covers more than 16 million hectares of Argentina, fetching more than $270 a ton on world markets, boosting the country's unstable economy. But to make way for the soya, huge swathes of native forest had to be cleared. This is all very green, but it's not natural. For one, where have all the trees gone? These vast and very lucrative soya fields, some say, only exacerbate the flooding, causing great suffering for many for the benefit of a few. Soya production in Argentina rose 126% in a decade, most of it for export to feed cattle.
In the last 16 years, Córdoba lost 300,000 hectares of native forest, which is an outrage. It's only got 4% of its original forest left. Add in the consequences of climate change, and you're creating a cocktail of conditions for flooding, which will only get worse.
The removal of vegetation leaves the soil less able to absorb water, so when it rains, the waters simply flow over it.
What we need are long-term policies to regenerate native forests and not allow ever more deforestation, which ends up prejudicing the whole society.
Local authorities say they're abiding by a national law designed to protect and regenerate the forests. But the flooding continues with greater frequency.
We have lost everything. The fridge, beds, clothes and furniture. The mattress my disabled son sleeps on. Who's going to help me replace all of this?
And despite the warnings, the deforestation continues. Daniel Schweimler, Al Jazeera, Argentina.
The important part is they died. And now for us, the next important thing is to stop whatever they may have had from being spread to other local birds or other migratory birds.
Declaring an emergency due to a passenger disturbance.
Breaking overnight, a frightening scene aboard a Denver-bound jetliner.
He ran forward towards the cockpit, and he is being restrained by other passengers.
This passenger was screaming and tried to rush the cockpit, but passengers on board subdued him shortly after takeoff.
I'm so sorry.
Don't move, David. You're okay. We're going to get you off this plane. We're going to get you off this plane, buddy.
United Airlines Flight 1074 heading from the Washington, D.C. area to Denver at around 10:40 p.m. when the incident forced the pilot to turn around.
The cockpit is secure, and we would just like to return to the airport and have the authorities meet him.
A spokesman for the airline saying in part, Flight 1074 returned to the airport following takeoff on Monday evening after a passenger failed to comply with crew instructions. Local law enforcement officials met the aircraft at the gate and detained the passenger. This video taken by one of the passengers during the altercation, bruises below his right cheek and near his mouth. Several others holding down his head as one person tries to calm him down.
Relax and don't move.
In this day and age, that passengers help themselves and they help the flight crew to get their flight safely to their destination, largely because of what happened on September 11, 2001.
A spokeswoman for the airport saying no passengers were injured and no weapons were found. The unruly passenger was eventually removed by law enforcement and taken to a hospital for evaluation.
Okay. I got him. You got him? Oh, yeah. Okay. No, please. All right, okay. My dad. Gonna be okay.
All right, well, this violent ordeal midair, it ended up grounding that flight overnight, but the airline says that they hope to get the passengers to their destination, Denver, this morning.
Check out this new video tonight of a gray whale and it's got no tail. I feel like Dr. Seuss. It was spotted this weekend off the coast of San Diego. And 10 News reporter Emily Valdez joins us live from Point Loma. And Emily, experts say this is unusual to see a whale in this condition but still being able to swim around.
Yeah, this is a very rare sighting in the wild or anywhere for that matter. Now, witnesses tell me that the whale appeared to be having some trouble getting depth in her dives or his dives. A little bit twisted on the side, but still chugging along. They saw it a few miles off Point Loma here on Saturday. Right now, that gray whale is making its way up the coast.
The whale is right next to the boat.
No, this is not a fluke. What you're seeing is a flukeless whale, or a whale with no tail. Whale watchers took this video of the gray tailless whale off Dana Point Sunday after it swam north from San Diego.
Wow.
Oh, very shocked. I was very shocked to see it.
Whale watchers with Flagship Cruises saw it off Point Loma. Audrey Evans from Birch Aquarium says the tailless whale was swimming with two other normal gray whales.
It didn't seem like it should be able to swim along at the pace that it was swimming at, just because that driving force, that tail was completely missing.
This map tracks sightings of the flukeless whale. On Saturday, the whale was seen off Point Loma. Sunday, the whale was spotted near Dana Point, where a whale watcher took the video. And Monday, it had traveled to Point Vicente. You're probably wondering what happened to its tail.
It's reported that they probably get them caught in fishing gear, crab pots.
Dr. Sam Ridgway with the National Marine Mammal Foundation says most likely fishing gear got tied up on the tail, cutting off circulation, causing the tissue to die and fall off.
There it is, right there.
And as we said at the beginning, there are a few documented cases of tailless whales living normal lives and even reproducing in the wild. Hopefully this is one of them. Live in Point Loma, Emily Valdez.
We have seasonal weather forecasts and even seasonal hurricane predictions, so why not a tornado season forecast? Now, scientists say the warming and cooling cycles of Pacific Ocean waters called El Niño and La Niña can affect severe weather in the U.S. Their study, recently published in Nature Geoscience, says a moderate to strong El Niño tends to suppress tornadoes and hailstorms in states like Kansas, Texas, and Oklahoma. And La Niña, the cooler part of the ocean cycle, can have the opposite effect, leading to more severe weather in the southern U.S. We can predict changes in the El Niño-La Niña cycle months in advance, so authors of the study believe the cycle and their findings can, quote, provide a basis for long-range seasonal prediction of severe thunderstorm activity. But severe weather expert Dr. Greg Forbes told Weather.com, quote, this kind of study doesn't really affect the day-to-day forecasting of severe weather. People want to know what the next season will bring, but El Niño-La Niña cycles are just part of a very complex system that often produces severe, destructive weather.
Violent protests broke out ahead of today's inauguration of the European Central Bank's new headquarters in Frankfurt in Germany. Protesters set cars on fire, smashed windows and threw stones at police, hours before a massive rally was due to begin. The protests are against the bank's role in austerity policies in financially troubled Eurozone countries such as Greece. Convoys of police vans sped through the streets of the financial capital with sirens blaring and helicopters hovering overhead. Water cannons have been used to disperse some protesters. The ECB will officially inaugurate its headquarters in the morning in the presence of Central Bank President Mario Draghi and around 100 invited guests. Security is extremely tight, with more than 10,000 anti-austerity demonstrators planning a protest rally. The ECB already moved into the new building situated on the Main River, running through Germany's financial capital late last year. The ECB said it plans to remain fully operational despite the protests, but said some employees might work from home.